basically, if you guys don't know what's going on, okay, if you've seen it online, we can break this down for you very easily. Drake has basically put in some petitions for emails and information because he's making accusations, where his label Universal Records has basically sided with K-Dot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's looking like spilt milk, basically. He's
label.
mad because he's like, you guys, remember when we talked about how this record wasn't going to be the song of the summer?
Yes.
And we all said, because how are you going to have a pedophile carol
Yeah.
at the cookout? Like, pedophile minor and all that stuff. We're like, nobody's going to be running around bumping the song about calling him a pedophile.
Boy, were we
and
wrong.
boy,
Yeah.
were we wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's saying Universal funneled money to Spotify and to iHeart Radio and all of that. Now, iHeart, of course, is, declining, saying that this didn't happen and whatever. But we're not a part of iHeart either.
No, we're not.
We're on the app, but we're not that company. We're Beasley. What he's purporting is that you guys lifted up K-Dot so heavy to make it a hit. And this is calling me all of these names like pedophile and like that I do things with minors and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
And so I am now trying to levy out a lawsuit, and I need the information. So I'm requesting all the emails between Universal and iHeart to show that you guys have funneled money to increase that song's popularity, so the messaging basically made you choose sides.
Yeah, intentionally.
And it's making him look
Soft.
like a Mitch.
Well, yeah, the streets, they are not happy about it. They just think that it was just wrong for him to do it. Like, take the L and take a seat.
Like, the one thing you could do is take the L, but to jump up and say, okay, it's like getting in a fight and getting knocked down and jumping up and saying, I'm going to sue you. You've hit me.
Yeah.
Now, it's not tough to say that, but it's within your rights.
It is.
Gotcha.
But you don't win the crowd by saying, I'm going to sue you now.
Yeah.
No.
And the bad part about this, where everybody is nervous, is because Drake has benefited from this same plan. What have I always said? You can say what you want, but it sounds different when it's read in court.
Yes.
The program that they're referring to is just a promotional program. We've talked about it with label heads on the air before when Kevin Lyles was in here talking about the power of the zero. And he said, if you show me a Ludacris who has spent $200,000 on his releases and he's selling out of his trunk, and he can show me that he went back and made another order because people bought his stuff for $200,000, that means that when they put it behind the machine, and we join him up with Def Jam, we can make the power to zero and say he made money off of $200,000. That means we can make money off of spending $2 million on him because we have a bigger machine. What's that machine? When we used to go to record stores and we would see Drake's cutout right there at the end of the aisle at the end cap, or you would go to Walmart and you would see Drake's new one is out or Taylor Swift's is out and blah, blah. That's all the marketing that these relationships that the label has.
Promotional stuff,
They
too.
push that out there.
Yes.
And none of that is free.
No.
So when people say, oh, you pay to get on the radio, you don't pay to get on the radio. You pay to get the marketing part of it on the websites, on the T-shirts that we have, the Way Back Wednesday shirts that say 21 Savage and that say, Lotto on there. Those are marketing things and partnerships that they get their artist's name out there. Drake has benefited from all of these things before. And now that it went against him for K-Dot, who came out as the one who won.
Yes.
Now he's crying foul, and that is very Canadian.
Dude,
That is very Canadian of him right there.
and the first sue or the first lawsuit, I could have kind of understand, defamation. You want to fight for your character and you don't want to be seen as a pedophile. I'll see. You know what? I could understand that. But the second lawsuit about the fact that he thinks that Universal should have been, I guess, vetting songs before they started distributing them. Yeah, you looking like a bitch.
Well, he's mad at his label. I mean, if it is true, then they intentionally were kind of dragging him down and are still doing it, and they're trying to lift Kendrick up. I mean, I wouldn't have filed this or petition to get this information. But what else is he going to do? He has taken a seat. He has taken the L
But what you're going to do is going to say, hey, way back when it first come out, I ain't a pedophile. I'm filing a suit back then. Don't wait till after you lost the war.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now that makes you look like sour grapes. It makes you look light. It makes you look light-skinned. It's very light-skinned.
You should have done it from the
very
beginning.
light-skinned. You are doing the light-skinned coalition a disservice, Drake, because they looking at you like you very El DeBarge right now, man.
Doesn't
it's
it
not
take
good.
a long time to go ahead and petition and do all this lawsuit stuff? Maybe this has been in the works for a while.
No,
we
this is
would've heard
new.
about
No,
it.
this is new.
Yeah.
This is new. And this is because he is sitting back. He's trying to block him from, if you do this kind of litigation, somebody told me yesterday, if this picks up steam, this can keep Kendrick from performing it at the Super Bowl.
Oh, his song.
Because they're investigating it.
Yeah.
So it's like the song is the song, but if you're saying I can't call you certain things and I go to the biggest stage in the globe and call you a pedophile again, I'm playing into that. However, when you made records about my GM is my BM, you know, where Dave Free is Kendrick Lamar's kids,
woman beater.
You're a woman beater and all this other stuff, so he can then counter. So again, it's really too much. And the worst part ever is radio and records went through the worst fight. If anyone out there Googles Elliot Spitzer, not his headlines and stupidity, but his investigation in the radio came about. I honestly, I don't know. I shouldn't even get into that because I mentioned it at an award show when I had to give somebody an award as a joke, and that person didn't speak to me for like 4 years after.
Oh, damn.
Because I made a joke. But
you
but
can explain it.
The Elliot Spitzer thing basically was an investigation that happened, and a lot of people lost their jobs at labels, and a lot of people in radio lost their jobs. Now we didn't, because we don't.
Right.
But a lot of people, especially at this company that he's aiming at, lost jobs because of a ugly word called payola.
Which we, as professionals, know all about, but maybe
you
the public
cannot participate in it
at all
because it's
whatsoever.
a violation of the RICO Act, which is we've all learned that from Young Thugger and all of that other stuff that's looking like Durko is facing. So RICO is not something that you want. Drake had a record called RICO.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on. This is way too much right here.
But you know what?
It's too much.
It's pretty ironic that Drake is over here saying like, oh, they need to vet the songs and we need to fact check. You know who is the biggest culprit of giving misinformation about Drake's life?
Drake.
70% of the things that Drake raps about is not even true.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Drake, you tried the wrong person. You lost. And you know what? Now you looking soft because you're over here trying to give a lawsuit. Listen, Drake, do yourself a favor. Take this L. Go back in your bag.
It's too late for that.
No, take this L. Go back in your bag. Make songs for girls to put in their captions on their Instagram.
Not now, because now you look light. No girl is gonna put their song on their timeline now.
Listen.
They're mad at Drake because Drake is making light-skinned guys lose. These women out there done cleaned up a nice little light-skinned man, and they're like, hey, man, guess what? You're looking light-skinned light, bro. I'm just saying.
But listen.
And some people won't understand that reference, but some people in the hood understand it very clearly.
I truly believe that if Drake was to forget about this whole battle rap thing and he wants to go back in his bag and make songs for the ladies, I feel like people would accept him again.
He could come
and
back.
he'll be all right.
Not after you have lost a battle and then you went legal.
Well, yeah.
That's almost like talking to the feds. That's almost the equivalent of snitching. You realize Biggie was said. First off, in the clique you claim
West Side,
right?
you know.
You thought but your wife, like, did Biggie sue Tupac for saying all those things about him?
But was it true?
It didn't matter.
It does, but that's the other thing too. Think of Ether. Think of all these rap songs that we
I left a condom on your baby seat.
Yeah.
That's what Jay-Z said to Nas. Nobody went to court about that. You don't go to court over diss records.
No, you don't.
This was supposed to be that hip hop art for. Okay, people are saying, how you going to tell us half? Okay, listen.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay, listen. Very much Cliff Notes. Elliot Spitzer investigated because I'm not going to say the person because it's not fair to do that. But there's a person who is a good friend of a lot of ours who was in Miami at the Delano at the bar trying to chat up a lady. Started talking to the lady, and the lady said, what do you do? And he says, I work for Sony Music. And she says, oh, well, what does that mean? He says, well, who do you like? You like J-Lo? And she said, I love J-Lo. And he said, well, because we're Sony, you know, we kind of are lobbyists for our artists. So I'm responsible for getting J-Lo played. So like we have different assets. We have Sony TVs and PS4s and things like that. And so we send them to the program directors and get them, you know, all excited about J-Lo, and then they support it. And she's like, oh, so you compensate them with that? He's like, but not really compensation. And so he's telling her all this.
Yeah.
She leaves vacation, goes back to her job in New York at the state attorney's office, and says, guess what? I met somebody who works with J-Lo. And he said that he gives them TVs and PS4s and stuff like that. And Elliot Spitzer is sitting there saying, excuse me? That's a violation of the RICO Act. That's payola. So then everyone had to start opening their emails. And so they went to that company who's being mentioned here. I think they were Clear Channel back in the day, and they went to every company. Our legal was like, hey, we need all the emails, we need this, we needed this, and they checked us, and they're like, y'all are good. Yeah. But some people they checked received TVs and received video games and received stuff to increase plays. So it then ended up with people losing their jobs.
A lot of people lost their jobs.
People who are in big cities like New York ended up in small cities like Tallahassee and Orlando because they got shifted and demoted and moved, and a lot of people lost their jobs. So Drake, in doing this, is opening up the emails between radio and between Spotify and streaming sources and between a radio company like iHeart, and now any messy conversation that has been in between, just between friends, how does it sound in court?
Right.
If I write you and say, man, this record is trash, but if you send us some concert tickets, I might be able to help you out. And the person is like, man, don't do me like that. It could be a joke.
Right.
But read in court,
it doesn't sound like
a testimony.
Right.
So now it makes you look reckless, and now people start losing their jobs. In a climate where we already got people getting downsized and cut, and artists that are getting cut, and people are getting moved out of positions, for Drake to do this as the guy up on top of the hill with all of that money and all of that prestige that he got to take away from people because he lost a battle is very, very bitch.
So
very, very much so.
So just to explain it like I'm 5, you're pretty much saying that Drake is causing more problems, and this could cause
for the industry
bigger problems
for the entire industry, and the industry that he's benefited on because he has OVO, which is he has fledgling artists that aren't as big as him. So guess who had to go out and do things to get his OVO artists played, because nobody wanted to play OVO artists that didn't matter, Party Next Door and all that, but they got some play because they went out and made deals and marketing deals.
And promoted it,
We'll put Party Next Door on the back of your vehicle or something, and if you want, and Drake will call your station to do an interview or something. Drake has made himself available to make sure his people can get some love. So it's sad.
Out of the 3, 2, 1, why does it matter when he filed the lawsuit? You can't go around calling somebody a certified pedophile. People get killed for less.
You cannot. And so I'm just saying, at the front end of it, you could have stopped it. If you wanted to stop it, if it was that egregious. But waiting until the like, if you play a football game and waiting till the fourth quarter at 3 minutes left to say, wait, you guys are cheating. No. If I'm cheating you at the beginning, pull and say, hey, what, man, we're not going forward because y'all are not doing this. This is not, no. You don't play the game, lose the game, then complain.
And the only reason why you're complaining is because everybody's going to be singing this song at the halftime.
And honestly, the pedophile part, go for that part. But
all
of this other parts that is like, hey, you raised and you played algorithm math and all that. Bro, that's what you've lived off of. That's what made you Heartbreak Drake. You can't do that. You can't cry. You can't throw a stone and then hide your hand and be like, no, I'd like to investigate who's throwing stuff.
Who did that?
You did, bitch. You did. Like, that's terrible. And it's gonna make him look really light to a lot of people who love him. And a lot of people in the industry are like, how do you come back from this? Like, so after it's over, then you're gonna drop a record? Who gonna play it?
Right. No,
I mean, and it ain't got nothing to do with us because we ain't in the fight. But everybody gonna lock arms and be like, wait, you just came at radio and you made people lose jobs. And now you want us to play your record? You better go act. You better go act. And this better be a sign that you're going to leave music and go act.
And if Drake is pissed now, wait until this other album that they're anticipating that's supposed to drop before the end of the year drops. Because Not Like Us wasn't even on GNX. That means it's going to be on this next project that's coming out before the end.
Maybe
of the
not.
year.
Maybe not. I mean, honestly, calling somebody a pedophile is unless you got hard work, like to prove it, is dangerous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
for sure.
and that
We
should
were
have
shocked
and
by
that should have been the only conversation.
Yeah.
You guys basically ran around, called me a pedophile. I'd like a class action suit somehow, whatever.
Figure it out.
But when you start going after people's jobs, there are people at iHeart who getting fired just because it's the end of the year. Now you're going to take other people and get them fired? Label people who've lost half of their people? Now you're going to get these people fired who gave you the assets to buy the whole city that you bought and basically put it under one roof? Like, all of the benefits you got are from these people that you've just turned your back on.
I wonder who was helping, like in his ear, telling him that this was
The people who have billable hours. Because
Lawyers.
who gets paid for all of this?
Lawyers.
The lawyers.
And it's going to take a long
Some lawyer in his ear, man, I would sue if I was you because, man, they called you this and that. And you know what? You can go after this, too. You know what? Yeah, hell yeah, because ain't nobody even paying me like that.
Right.
My social media engagement is low. I'm Drake.
If you were going to do this, you got to do this from the beginning. And, the timing right after the album drops, it just makes you look super soft.
This person says that they went through. Drake is right. He lost because everybody overplayed K-Dot and made fans hear him more.
But they did it because it was emotion. We played the hell out of the record. And honestly, we couldn't play it enough.
It was a moment.
The audience was like, play it more because they were, the research was crazy. This has nothing to do with anything in this lawsuit, but I'm telling you, as a radio station program director who makes that decision, I wanted to stop playing Not Like Us so much, but it was #1 in streaming, #1 in research, #1 in perceptual study. Every bit of the 17 pieces we look at on why we play certain records every week, all of them said K-Dot's record. It's still
Number
researching now, and we forced it down
Right.
because I'm like, bro,
It's
on
over.
everything,
People are over
it's
it.
now over, and it keeps resurging back up.
Yeah, and now it's going even higher because of all this going on.
It's
right
just
now.
it's a lot. It's a lot, and so the record was a moment. We've had those moments, whether it was Ja Rule's time, whether it was Sean Paul's time, whether it was Drake's time. This was K-Dot's moment. Drake has had over a decade to be that guy. It ends at some point. All of those artists were the big ones, and it ended.
Yeah.
Him fighting this makes his legacy now be that guy who got punched and went and sued.
And sued over it, yeah.
And that's what the long and short of it is.
Right now, Drake looks like that little brother that wants to play, and then you play with him a little too hard. Now he's
And he runs to mommy. Mommy, he pushed me down. Why you do that to your brother? I didn't want to play with his little ass anyway, mama. What the hell?
Orlando and the Freak Show.